Hi everyone, and welcome to Eastern Healing. Today we are going to introduce Ayurveda, which is our next little unit that we're doing together. Ayurveda is the ancient health and healing and wellness lifestyle practices that come from India. Ayurveda, the word Ayurveda, Ayurveda is a Sanskrit word. That means like Ayu part is life, and Veda is like knowledge or science or study of. And so it is the science of life, but specifically it's like the science or practices of living a good, healthy, vital life, and being well throughout your life. The history of Ayurveda is a beautiful and cultural and spiritual whole landscape. In general, I can say the texts that we have are about 3,000 years old at this point, and we have evidence that the practices are actually much older, even thousands of years older. So Ayurveda, oftentimes you'll hear people say that it's about 5,000 years old, definitely putting it on par with traditional Chinese medicine and some of the other really ancient things that we still have around as humans. I will be focusing this Ayurveda unit not on giving an overview of the Ayurveda itself, not of like exploring every detail and avenue of Ayurveda, but more on talking about, as a massage therapist, the ways in which Ayurvedic practices have impacted our Western wellness industry. And now I, as a massage therapist, did not focus on Ayurvedic practices when I was like coming right out of the gate. I focused more on clinical applications, pain management, recovery from injury and surgery, and that kind of a thing. And yet, even with that personal focus of mine, Ayurvedic practices and concepts still have filtered into my career, and I became aware that it was to my benefit to research some of the history and culture and principles of Ayurveda so that I could understand, so that I could recognize those principles and those practices when I saw them, recognize when they were being misapplied, and recognize, just what those concepts really are in this wellness system, because sometimes things don't translate well. And I think in order to answer our clients' questions and to be ethical while we pursue our own wellness, it's important to be able to understand when you're dealing with a concept that's very cultural, that has been taken out of context. So that's kind of how we're going to focus this, is understanding Ayurveda principles, but also understanding how have those principles been translated into the Western wellness world. And so with that, let's go ahead and talk about koshas. We're going to talk about a variety of things in this section on Ayurveda. And the first one we're going to start with right now, and that's koshas. Koshas, which means sheath, like the sheath of a sword, is this idea that we are like Russian nesting dolls. We are organized in layers, right? So one layer is our physical body, and that is the first kosha, is your physical body. Koshas, is the S always there? Is that plural? I don't know. I should look that up. But the physical body is the first layer. And that is called Annamaya. The second layer is called pranamaya, and that is considered your energy body. It can also be translated as vital body. I like vital body because I think the connotation in English is a little bit closer to what we're trying to get at here. And those are the two koshas that I am going to be focusing on, because those are the two that we can have a direct effect on with like massage therapy and that kind of a thing. The deeper koshas, and by deeper I mean conceptually closer to our essence, the deeper koshas you wouldn't interact with like massage or teas, or like drinking tea. That's what I mean by teas, or that kind of a thing. You would interact with, like you yourself would interact with them through yogic meditations and other practices. And they're very much having to do with that culture's vision of your journey to enlightenment. So we're not going to focus on the deeper four. We're going to focus just on the first two, the annamaya, your physical body, and the pranamaya, your energy or vital body. And the really key feature that you need to understand if you're going to understand anything about Ayurvedic practices is that these are not like a sandwich inside a lunchbox. It's not like soda inside a can, where you have one distinct, discrete thing and another like wrapped in another distinct, discrete thing. These overlap each other, and it's like, imagine you have your physical body and auras, like the concept of your aura. That's an Ayurvedic concept, and it comes from that energy body. It suffuses your whole body. It even extends out from your body in their cultural, spiritual beliefs. And so when there is, because they like overlap one another, and all of the bodies do, we're just focusing on these two, because they overlap each other and exist in the same space. What you do to affect your energy body will have a actual real world effect on your physical body and vice versa. And if you don't accept that concept, you're not going to understand what we're up to with Ayurveda, because they will they'll have like their whole evaluation process for your aura and your energy body, and then they'll tell you to get massage or drink this particular tea or have this herb applied to your body, because when you interact with your physical body, you can have a real, honest, like that will affect your energy body, your vital body. And when you do things to affect your vital body, that in turn will affect your energy body, because it's like a sponge suffused with water, like totally soaked in water. When you do things that impact the sponge, the water will move around and be affected. When you do things that impact the water, it'll transfer through the sponge and the sponge can be affected. So that is like the core concept of koshas, that you need to just absorb and take as a given before we can move on. Because we're going to be talking about lots of things. We're going to be talking about chakras and marma points and detoxing and all these things that are from Ayurvedic practices, and you can't possibly understand why they are doing what they're doing if you don't first accept this idea of koshas and that they affect each other. So that's really the big takeaway. So just as a little recap, because this is a shorter little intro lecture here, we're cruising towards 10 minutes and we're not going to get much longer, is Ayurveda is the science of life and wellness practices from India. And it is thousands and thousands of years old. The texts are about 3,000 years old. The practices are, we have evidence they are much older. A key feature of Ayurveda is this foundational understanding that they have in their culture and in their spiritual beliefs, that we are organized in layers, and those layers can have an effect on one another. In particular, the first two layers being your physical body and your energy body overlap and take up the same space in you. And we can do things that affect those layers from the outside. And the things that we do that are targeted towards one of those layers will also have an effect in the other layer. And those are kind of the key features. I will let you absorb and ruminate upon. I look forward to hearing your thoughts on it. And otherwise, I will see you next time in Eastern Healing Land. Bye, guys.